community, including for promoting Russia-India relations, and now we'll go back to India and we will turn to Mr. Mahajan. So please, you can follow up on what our speakers have been saying, and what do you think about the current state of Russia-India relations, and how can India, what does India think about Russia in this new environment? You have the floor.
Thank you. First of all, I would like to say that India-Russia relationship have been deep, and they are now even more deeper, in the sense that we have been having good relations, but when we continue with those kinds of relationship, that kind of relationship with under these circumstances, especially when the whole Western world is out to impose sanctions and cause injury to one of our friends, we have been keeping a neutral and a firm neutral stand. And I don't think it's going to change in any circumstances whatsoever. But we do believe that this conflict must end. And for the world peace, and also for the reason that that now even Ukraine has been saying that they will no longer be the friends of NATO or like that. Secondly, I would like to state here is that there is no superpower in the world now. Neither US wants to be the superpower, nor Russia wants to be the superpower, because these taxes are costly tax. Because you need to have an equal relationship with the rest of the world, and there is no need to be superpowers, because US has also seen the disadvantages and the cost attached to being a superpower, and Russia has also been a victim of the similar situations. Now, when we under the present circumstances, when we find sanctions being imposed on Russia, talk was going on that if we keep on our neutral stance, then we may also face the similar problems of sanctions from the Western world. But I think the West is also learning the cost of imposing sanctions, because when they say that India should not buy oil from Russia, but they continue to do the same. So these double standards are also being, I'm not very diplomatic in making comments, but these are the double talks, double standards, asking us not to buy oil, and they themselves continue to buy oil from Russia. As I've said, that we have also been the victim of sanctions, but as our late past foreign minister, Mrs. Sushma Swaraj, had said once, that we don't recognize sanctions from any country. We recognize sanctions from only UN and not by any individual country. Similarly, our stance should be the same, that we don't recognize the sanctions imposed by any one country or set of countries in this regard. Now, looking at this situation, what I personally feel is that and I agree with my past speaker, that there are opportunities coming out of these sanctions, and we should definitely grab them. Now, the process of de-dollarization of the world has already started. And this is a mistake on the part of the Western world to continue with those sanctions and accelerating the process of de-dollarization of the world. Time is not the same as it was 20 years, 30 years ago. Time is not the same as it was in 99 when they imposed sanctions on us. But even then, we didn't bother about those sanctions. And US had to lift those sanctions without our asking for that. The time has now changed. Today, India has its own well-developed payment system called UPI. Russia and other countries have also developed their own payment systems. Okay, we will continue to have some rupee-ruble trade, but time is not very far off that we can bypass SWIFT and have an alternative system of payments by integrating our UPI with Mir of Russia and similarly with other countries. And in that situation, the monopoly of the West will end, and they will no longer be able to say that we are going to impose sanctions. We as a nation are neither with Russia nor with US or West. We are not taking sides, but this hegemony must end. And this will end only when we have our own payment systems. I see three possibilities in payments. One, rupee-ruble trade. There are problems because Russia has got trade surplus with India, but we can find out ways and means even there. Second, we can have an integrated system of our payment systems with the other countries and develop an alternative so-called SWIFT. The third possibility is, which is emerging now, and that is the central bank digital currency. We are already moving towards the central bank digital currency. Russia can also move forward, and other countries are also doing the same. And we can have these payments bypassing SWIFT and with the help of those digital currencies developed by our own central banks. So I find, and I sincerely believe that whenever there is a crisis, the opportunities will come. Opportunities are coming. And in the last, I would say that India is now trying hard because we have seen the period post 1991 when our dependence on the rest of the world increased and we lost in manufacturing a lot. And that is creating a lot of problems for our employment and other issues. And therefore, it's a time now for India to become Atmanirbhar, self-reliant, and any country who will help us in achieving our objectives, we will welcome that. We would like to be self-reliant in defense. We would like to be self-reliant in industry, whether it is chemical, electronics, telecom, toys, whatever. We want to be self-reliant in everything. We don't want to be dependent on either China or US or anybody. We can still have relationship with the rest of the world. Economic relationships can be deepened, but nobody should be able to exploit us, neither China nor US. And self-reliance is the way forward. And I think this is the time, and these crises, whether it is Corona crisis or now this kind of crisis, it always gives us strength. It always provides us opportunities, and we should definitely try to grab them. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr.